Despite it not even being a year old, DJI is already upgrading its mid-tier Mavic Air 2 drone. The new $999 Mavic Air 2S comes with some notable new features and upgrades, including a much larger image sensor. The new 1-inch sensor is capable of shooting 20 megapixel photos, 5.4K video, and 4K up to 60 FPS. But hold your horses, there are a few caveats to those impressive capabilities. Hello guys. Welcome to my video. Today I am gonna show you the Mavic Air 2S's review. Please don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. And press the bell icon for more updates. The Mavic Air 2S's camera sensor is the same size as what you get in the higher-end Mavic 2 Pro. It's much larger than the half-inch sensor used in last year's Air 2. The Air 2S should shoot almost equally good photos and better video than the Mavic 2 Pro, at least on paper. The Air 2S's maximum video resolution is 5.4K, versus 4K on the Mavic 2 Pro. And the Air 2S's 4K video even has a higher bitrate, 150 megabits per second compared to 100 megabits per second. Lastly, the Air 2S's 4K video also has a higher frame rate. All of those are nice upgrades over what you get in the more expensive model, not to mention the benefits of the smaller Air 2. Once you switch to 4K 60 FPS, though, the highest 4K frame rate you can capture, there will be some significant cropping because it isn't using the full 1-inch sensor in that mode. It looks roughly like a 1.3x crop to my eyes, but DJI wouldn't confirm exactly how much crop there is. That shouldn't discourage you from using 4K, 60 FPS. The video quality still holds up and the image looks great in the final result. That also might explain why the Air 2S has a slightly wider focal length than others in the Mavic lineup. When using the full 1-inch sensor, the focal length is 22mm. Typically, DJI drones are either 24 or 28mm. I personally like the slightly wider look, but if you prefer a tighter composition, you can use the built-in digital zoom or crop in the edit. In 1080p, 60 FPS, you can zoom 6x, 1080p, 30 FPS lets you zoom 8x, 4K, 60 up to 3x, 4K, 30 has 4x zoom, and lastly there's no digital zoom at all when in 5.4K. One big selling point of the Air 2 was the ability to shoot 48 megapixel photos with the help of pixel binning. You won't have that option here, but I always choose sensor size over pure resolution, and the Mavic Air 2S proved me right. The photos look phenomenal. As someone who prefers taking drone photos over the video, having a 1-inch sensor and a smaller body than the Mavic 2 Pro is a dream come true. Both drones take 20 megapixel photos, but there are a few noticeable differences. There's the focal length I mentioned earlier, but also the dynamic range on the 2 Pro is better. It offers 14 stops compared to 12.4 stops on the new Air 2S, which helps keep your sky from blowing out in high contrast scenes. Sure, you lose a bit of information to work with, but the difference is not super noticeable. Photos look impressive at both low and higher ISOs. You'll also be missing out on that Hasselblad color science if that's worth anything to you. The Mavic 2 Pro does have one big feature over the Air 2S, adjustable aperture. That's useful for both photos and video and gives you another control point when trying to nail the perfect exposure. On the Air 2S, the only controls you have are for ISO and shutter speed, so DJI has included a set of ND filters in its Fly More bundle to allow you to limit the amount of light coming into the lens. There is also a small change to the hyperlapse mode. You can no longer get 8K hyperlapse exports like you did on the Mavic Air 2, only 4 or below since the max photo resolution is 20MP. That export now has an additional post-stabilization applied, but it's not perfect. I still saw some unwanted shake in a few of the videos I recorded. I'd still recommend running another stabilizer in post. Most of the hardware on the Air 2S is identical to the Air 2, but there's an extra set of sensors that sit right at the top of the drone to help with obstacle detection and avoidance, especially at higher speeds. DJI is calling this up as 4.0. Obstacle avoidance is a thing you need to manually turn on and you pick how you want your drone to act, either it'll brake in front of an obstacle or try to go around it. In my testing, the drone was a bit more hesitant than I anticipated. It would often choose to brake in front of obstacles instead of avoiding them. The Mavic Air 2S has a slightly worse battery than its predecessor, 31 minutes compared to 34 on the Air 2. DJI rates the battery at 31 minutes of flight time compared to the 34 minutes on the previous Mavic Air 2. It's a fair compromise, and I haven't noticed it impacting my approach to flying. Despite some odd limitations in its features, the Mavic Air 2S is still a fantastic drone, especially for beginners who want something more capable than a DJI Mini 2. There are a few trade-offs compared to the Mavic 2 Pro, but frankly, most people will be okay with them. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked the video, you must press the like and subscribe button. And let us know your valuable feedback by commenting below the video.